Use it. Morning, Mr. Haber. Good to have you back. We missed you. Okay, we are on Mem Aleph. We're moving along. We're moving along, everybody. Yes, I know. But you're back. And we say back and better than ever. Right, the topic now is we're getting into if you have the same food or different foods, what's the priority? Morning. Which bracha? I have apples, I have grapes, I have, which one should I say first? I'm going to say one, let's say they have the same bracha. Let's say apples and grapes all have butter pre-eggs. What should I say the bracha on? The apples or the grapes? So that's what we're going to, let's take a look at the Gemara on Mem Aleph Amad Aleph. 40, yes. What's your first option?
Let's say you have a dollar and
If you want, it's definitely not a question of bracha levatala. If you make, but the only question is, there's a better way of doing things in life, and there's a better way to show honor to a bracha. So we see the sensitivity we saw last week, the sensitivity of how to do it when you need to do a bracha. The importance of doing it the best way you could do it. Like there's such a concept called hidur mitzvah, right? There's such a concept. You have two etrogim. There's a halacha that you should get the nicer etrog, right? Doesn't mean you have to spend $1,000 on etrog, but you could go ahead and there are laws exactly how much a person should. It's asked of a person to add to beautify a mitzvah. How much? There's a certain amount that halacha discusses. About a third of the price, if you have to pay a third more, there's a discussion about what's asked for. Good morning, Mike, in beautifying a mitzvah. So our Gemara.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Morning. Whatever you do in life, you got to do it the best way that you're supposed to do it. Especially when it comes to, I'm not referring to a material thing. If they have the best house, the most fanciest house, that's not what I'm talking about. In spirituality, when you serve Hashem, what's the best way to do it? How much? What is it? I'm saying a bracha. What's the way to do the bracha, right? That's what our Gemara is referring to. Well, on Mem Aleph Amad Aleph, 5 lines from the top, correct? Hoya lefanav minim harbe. You have it, Morris? On 5 lines from the top, on Mem Aleph Amad Aleph. He had in front of him minim harbe. And we had a machloket in the Mishnah between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. When you have many types of fruits in front of you, what should be which one should you say the bracha on? So Rabbi Yehuda says you got to go after the one from Eretz Yisrael. That's the winner. The fruit that's from the Shivat Haminim, from the 7 species that Israel is known for. We spoke yesterday. There are, out of the 7 species, there are 5.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning, Yosef Atzadik. There are 5 fruits. There's pomegranates, there's dates, there's olives, there's figs, there's grapes. Right? There's five fruits. So in those 5 fruits, so that any of those 5 fruits are considered from the Shivat Haminim. That's the 7 species. And even in those 5 fruits, there is a precedence which one of those 5 fruits come first. So that's another, we're not up to that. We'll get to that. But now we're talking about I have something from Eretz Yisrael, known from the land of Israel, and something not. I have apples. Apples is not one of the Shivat Haminim. It's not one of the species that Israel is known for. It's not known for its apples. It's not the great product of Israel. Dates is a great product of Israel. So if I have dates and I have apples, what do I say the bracha on? So the Mishnah has a machloket. Rabbi Yehuda says you got to go after the date. You got to go after the date. That's the Shivat Aminim. The Chachamim say, you say the bracha, Eiza mehem sheyirtzeh, the one that you want, and Rashi says that's the one that you like, the one that you like the most. You like, if you like an apple more than you like dates, you say the bracha on the apple, even though the apple is not from the Shivat Aminim. That is the opinion of the Chachamim. Okay? That is the opinion. Now we're going to, and we'll eventually, by the end of the, when we finish learning the Sugya, we'll look at the Shulchan Aruch, we'll look at the Yalkut Yosef, we'll see in practice, what's the practice? Meanwhile, we have two opinions, Rabbi Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda. Do you go after the Shivat Aminim? Is that the winner? The one from the seventh land of Israel? Or do you go after what you like more? What is, who's the winner? So let's see the Gemara. Clem Ariel? Now, and obviously the one that says you go after what you like the best, that's the honor of the bracha. The honor of the bracha is to say the bracha on something that you like more. You enjoy it more. There's two opinions. One says you on the one that you like, Shivat Aminim. Very good. So very good. So in what you like, and what you like more, there's two opinions. What's called what you like more? What I like more is, it means what I generally like more, even if now I don't want, I'm not interested in this as much, but generally this is my favorite. But today it's not my favorite today, but generally it's my favorite. Or does it mean that the one that I want now more? That's the question. What's called what I like more? We'll also see more about that as we. It's called, the Gemara Rashi refers to chaviv. Chaviv is what's cherished by you, the one that's more cherished by you. Now, what does it mean what's cherished by you? One that you generally like, or the one that you like now more, that you want more? Good morning, Avram. Good morning, Shmuel.
Good morning.
So the Gemara says, Oma Ula. Now we're 5 lines from the top. Oma Ula. Morris, you got it? Oma Ula, 5 lines from the top. Oma Ula. Machloket bechateim shavot. The machloket of the Mishnah is specifically when the brachot are the same. They are, let's say they're both Bori Priya 8s. The Rabbi Yehuda Sava min Shiva Adif. Rabbi Yehuda says in that situation, the species from Eretz Yisrael is the winner. Rabbanan Savri min Chaviv Adif. And the Rabbanan hold the one that you like better is the winner. When they both have the same bracha, that's the argument. However, and because you're only going to be saying one bracha, I'm going to say a Bori Priya 8. The only question is, should I say the Bori Priya 8 on the Min Shiva from Eretz Yisrael, or should I say Bori Priya 8 what I like better? But if they're two different brachot, then I have to say 2 brachot. If it's a Bori Priya 8 and a Bori Priya Dama, I need to say a Bori Priya 8, and I need to say a Bori Priya Dama. And in that circumstance, some of the Rishonim understand, then I go after what I like the best. Meaning to say, if I'm saying both brachot anyways, meaning Shivat Haminim is the winner when if you're in the same category, you're in the same group, we have to say one bracha. This is facing this, right? It's a face-off. They're both in the major leagues. They're both in the same industry, the grapes and the apples, they're both in the fruit industry. So if they're both in the fruit industry, so now you say, which fruit should I say the bracha on? So there we have a dispute. But if it's 2 different industries, one industry is the fruits and one industry is the vegetables, so then some learn the Gemara, then you could do which you go with which one you like better. Again, there's 3, I think there's going to be 3 opinions, by the way, in how to understand this Gemara. One opinion is that if they're 2 different, if they're not connected, meaning if they're totally different than each other, mean Ha'etz and Hadama, so then if you want to know which one you should go first, which one goes, you're going to say both brachot. I'm saying so both brachot. So which one should go first? So there's 3 opinions. What in this? Listen to the 3 opinions. One opinion is like Mike says. You say the Bori Priya 8. Even if it's not the Shivat Haminim. It's an apple. I have apple and I have a tomato. So some say you go after the apple. The apple, it's two different brachot, and ha'etz is more specific bracha. You go after the ha'etz. Others say specifically if the ha'etz is from the shivat haminim, then you go after the ha'etz over the hadama. And others say the third opinion, which is merely more maybe the first opinion, is that if it's two different brachot, you go after what you like the most. The one that you're gonna say the brach, which one goes first? Which one goes first will be the one that you like the best. And if you like that dama more than you like the ha'etz, you go after the hadama. How do you like that? Because that's the one. Since they're saying the brachot anyways, you're going to be saying hadama. You're going to say habar ha'etz. So then you can do after the one you like better first. That is the three opinions in when you have ha'etz and you have hadama. Three opinions of understanding there's no machloket. Everybody agrees. Well, the question is, what does everybody agree? Everyone agrees you say the ha'etz. Everyone agrees to say that the one that you like better, or everyone agrees everyone agrees you do you if you have something from the 7 species, you go after the 7 species. Those are three opinions. Yes. Again, right. First opinion, even though that might be in the order of opinions, but we could say it as one opinion is you go after the 8th over hadama. And it doesn't make a difference if you like the hadama more than the 8th. That's one opinion. One opinion is you go after the shivat haminim is the winner. And one opinion is it goes after what you like the best. Two different brachot. But if they're the same bracha, both are borei priya 8. So then we said there's a machloket. One opinion says you go after the shivat haminim. And one opinion goes after the one that you like the best. And obviously, if there's no shivat haminim of the borei priya 8, you go after the one that you like the best, right? If I have apples, oranges, and pears, and they're not from the shivat haminim, I would definitely go say the bracha on the one that I like the best. That's the honor to say the bracha. But if one of them are from the shivat haminim, then there is this dispute. Do I go after the shivat haminim that's from the 7 species of Israel? Or do I go after the one I like the best? As Mr. Haber pointed out last week, we see how the sensitivity of the Gemara, we spoke about the text of a bracha, every word, how important, and now we're referring to even the order of what to say the bracha on. There's a lot of ink written on this issue. About what I'm saying, Rabbi, what's the difference? I'm saying ha'etz, I'm saying hadama, I'm saying what's all this about? The answer is no. There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it right. Okay. So that's what the Gemara says. Then when there are two different brachot, then you have to say a bracha on each one separately. And if you say hadama, you still have to say a borei priya 8. If you say a borei priya 8, you still have to say a borei priya hadama. If there's two different brachot, and hadama would not cover the borei priya 8, meaning you do not say a borei priya hadama on a tomato. If you're having a tomato and you're having an apple, right? A person cannot say, you know what, I have a tomato and an apple. One is a borei priya hadama, one's a borei priya 8. I'll just say a borei priya hadama on the tomato, and I'll cover the apple. You can't. You don't do that. You say a borei priya hadama on the tomato, and you say a borei priya 8 on the apple. Good morning, Shmuel Rave. I don't know if I said hello before. If I didn't, now I'm saying hello. Okay. Boker Tov. So the Gemara challenges what we just said. You just told me if you have a hadama and you have a borei priya 8, I got to make a separate hadama and a separate borei priya 8. Meaning to say, even though we said if I have a apple in front of me, and I set a borei priya hadama on the apple, it covers the apple because the apple also comes from the ground. But if I have an apple if I have an apple with a tomato in front of me, we don't say I say a borei priya hadama on the tomato to cover the apple. I say a borei priya hadama on the tomato and a borei priya 8 on the apple. So the Gemara says meitive. Now, when the Gemara is challenging what we just said, what Ula just said, meitive. You had a radish. Radish is adama, and you had a olive, which is a border pre-8. Okay. It says over here in the Braita, you say a bracha on the radish, and that will exempt the olive. So what does it seem to be saying? That if you have a dama and a ha'etz, you just say a bar dama, and the bar dama will cover the ha'etz. That is the challenge. That's what the Gemara is rising, is bringing a challenge, that it seems that the dama will cover. If you're saying a dama and you have ha'etz in front of you, and you have a fruit in front of you, you just say one price does it all. One thing covers everything. One for the price, it covers the whole thing. That's the Gemara's question. The apparent question, that's how the Gemara is understanding this Braita, and it's a question on Ula. Correct, Mr. Haber? Correct? So the Gemara shoots back. No. We're talking about the case where the main thing, that the food that you really were interested in eating and you're coming to eat is the radish. But the reason why you're eating the olive is not that you're eating the olive for the purpose of eating olives for itself. I'm eating olives because I like the taste of olives. I'm eating the olive to take away some of the sharpness of the radish. So the olive is just serving the radish. It's considered secondary to the radish. The radish, it's like the radish is not. The radish is the one I'm coming to eat the radish. I think there's a case also, sometimes if a person goes ahead and he eats salty fish, and it could be there's a case and he eats the bread just to be able to eat the fish, but not eating the bread for the bread. So the bread might be tafel. The bread is secondary, such and such, something like that. But God bless you. But over here, the point is you're eating the second food just to be able to eat the radish properly, to take away some of the sharpness of the radish, and therefore we consider. So even I wonder if you're eating it together, you're eating it right next to each other. The point is you're eating these two items in a way that one item is secondary to the other item, and then the law is when one item is secondary to the other item, you don't make a bracha on the secondary item. Just like if you have, let's say, you pick a piece of cake, and on top of the cake you put whipped cream. You put cream. There's cream in the cake, right? You eat the cake with whipped cream on top. If you go in and you would eat whipped cream by itself, and you would spritz some whipped cream into your mouth, you would say a shakol on whipped cream. But if you're eating the whipped cream as part of the cake, and the whipped cream is just helping you eat the cake and enjoy the cake, you got some whipped cream. So the whipped cream is just coming to help, secondary to the cake. And in that case, you don't say a bracha on the whipped cream. So when you're eating it together, here also, the radish and the olive that you're eating in such a fashion that the olive is just coming to support and help you in eating the radish. So that's why you do not say a bracha on the olive, because the olive is coming to support the radish. So I'll just the question that we could ask on this Gemara, if that's the case, why does the Braita says upoteres hazayis, and it exempts the zayis? You make a bracha on the radish and it covers the olive. If we're saying that it's secondary, I don't know what do you have to say to it, and it exempts it. It's not because it exempts it. There's no need for the bracha on that olive, because it's just part of it. But meanwhile, the Gemara is saying the bracha on the radish will cover the olive, because the olive is secondary to the radish. So the Gemara challenges its answer. Ihachi ema seifa. I'll show you the seifa. Rabbi Yehuda Omer mivarach ala zayit. You know what Rabbi Yehuda says? You make a blessing on the olive. Why do you make the blessing on the olive? When you have the radish and the olive, shahazayit mimin shiva. because the olive is from the 7 species that Israel is known for. And therefore, since it's from the 7 species that Israel is known for, you make a bracha on the olive. Now, the Gemara is going to ask the question, why should you make a bracha on the olive? If it is true that the case, right? Mr. Haber always says, better get the case straight. If we get the case, then we'll get the law. If the case is that the radish is the main thing and the olive is just secondary to the radish, so then you should not need to make a bracha on the olive. Who argues? No one argues on this ruling that when you have an ikka and you have a tafel, when you have a main thing and you have something secondary, you don't make a bracha on the secondary item. No one says you make a bracha on the whipped cream when you're eating it together with the cake, when it's on the cake. So why should Rabbi Yehuda say that you say a bracha on the olive? If the case is that the olive is eaten to take away the sharpness of the radish, so you should not need to make a bracha on the olive. Why should anyone argue? Why should anyone argue? Why should Rabbi Yehuda say you make a bracha on the olive? If the case is that the olive is secondary to the radish. Let's see the Gemara. Ihachi ema sefer. Rabbi Yehuda omer mevarech al zayish hazayis meshiva. V'chi lesle Rabbi Yehuda. Does Rabbi Yehuda not hold hodit nan? We have a very famous Mishnah. Kol she'ikah v'imo tfela. You have something that's main, and you have something that's secondary that's together with the main thing, right? Like we gave you the cake and the whipped cream. So mevarech al ikah. You say the bracha on the main thing, upoter es tfela, and it exempts that secondary item that's there. That's there. So too, let's say, for instance, you go ahead and you take cake, and you have cake, and inside the cake there's sugar and there's other things that you, cream, like we said, you don't say a bracha on the cream separately. The cream is covered with the mezonot. And if you're going to tell me Rabbi Yehuda does not hold of this ruling of the Mishnah, he argues on that opinion of the Mishnah. He holds if you don't say ikka and tafel. You don't say this, that the main item covers the secondary item. You know, that's how we also said, let's say you have a fruit cup, right? And you have the fruit cup is everything is mixed together, all the fruit, and it's mostly one type of bracha. Let's say it's mainly apples, oranges, pears, dates, and then you also have in it some pineapple, a little piece of pineapple. But the pineapple is secondary. It's such a small amount. You say one bracha on the whole thing if you're eating it together as one. So you're going to tell me maybe he argues, maybe Rabbi Yehuda doesn't agree with that law that you say the bracha on the main thing covers the secondary thing. But if that's the case, what we find the Lesle. For Tanya, we have a brighter. Rabbi Yehuda goes on record and he agrees with this idea that you go, if something is main and something is secondary, the bracha on the main thing covers the thing that's secondary to it. For Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda omer, if the purpose of the olive, the eating of the olive was just to take away some of the sharpness of the radish, he agrees you don't make a bracha on the olive. You say a bracha on the radish and it covers the olive. So if that's the case, that the Gemara says, so you can't tell me that the case is that the radish is the main thing and the olive is just to take away the sharpness. Because if that's the case, then there won't be no machloket. Everybody would agree. You only say a bracha bar priyadama. No, Rabbi Yehuda wouldn't argue in such a case. So the Gemara says, therefore the Gemara is back to the drawing board. The Gemara is back to at this point, the Gemara's question is, you told me, Ula said, if you have two different brachot, hadama and ha'etz, you say a separate bracha hadama and a separate bracha ha'etz, and the Gemara challenges Ula by bringing a braita, which seems to say you have hadama and ha'etz, hadama covers the eitz, and you don't have to say two brachot. That's the Gemara's challenge. So to that, the Gemara says, La'olam b'tznon ika askina. Really, that braita is talking about when the tznon, when the radish is the main thing. and therefore the bracha on the radish would cover the olive. If you're eating the olive just to take away the sharpness of the radish. When do Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbanan argue? They're arguing in a different scenario, different case. The case is different. The law is different. They're arguing in a different case. That's the main thing. Always, if we get the case straight, then everything follows properly. And there's something missing in the Braita. This is how you have to explain the Braita, the following. First word of line is snow. You had in front of you a radish and an olive. Mevarech alat snow. You say a bracha on the radish. Upoteh tasayir, and that covers the what? The olive. But when is that true? When the olive is only being eaten to take as a secondary thing, just to take away the sharpness of the radish. But medvarim amurim. When do we say, and this is universally accepted, no argument in this case. When do we say, you say a bracha on the radish, which is adamah, and it covers the olive? That's only if you're eating the olive to take, not for the purpose of eating olives. Eating olives because you just want to take away some of the sharpness of the what? Of the radish. I'm not interested in the olive. The olive is just coming to facilitate my eating of the radish. That's a new concept, right? Right. So therefore, when you can even eat this food, if you're eating this food to facilitate the eating of the other food, I'm not eating this food for itself. I don't make a bracha. This food is covered with the bracha on the other thing that it's coming to serve. It's coming to serve that food and it's not coming for itself. You're not eating the olive for itself. I'm not interested in olives. I'm not the only reason why I'm eating olives, because that's going to allow me to be able to handle that radish, that sharpness of the radish. But that's only if the radish is the main thing. I'm only interested in the radish. However, but if the radish is not the main thing, if I'm interested in the radish and I'm interested in the olives, I like olives.
Rabbi,
yes.
Do we agree that the radish and the zayit has two different brachot?
Yeah, we all agree that the radish is adamah. There's no dispute in general. If you'll eat a radish by itself, it's adamah. If you eat olives by itself, it's a border prietz.
So here
I'm eating the olives and I'm eating the radishes, and the reason why I'm eating the olives is not as an independent food that I want to eat olives. I'm eating the olives because I want to be able to handle the radish. I need to sweeten it. I need to take away some of the sharpness, and somehow the olives will take away some of the sharpness of the radish.
But right before you said we have an olive and we'll have a radish. Which one we eat? Which one we barech first or no?
Oh, very good. But if I'm going to have radishes and then
you said we'll have
if I want both,
olive and a radish.
Then if I'm interested in eating olives and I'm interested in eating radishes, and I'm not eating the olives just to take away the sharpness of the radish, I'm eating the olives for its own self, right? Then I will say a bracha on the radishes and I'll say a bracha on the olives. Now, which bracha first? That's our discussion we had earlier. But the Gemara is going to, meaning the Gemara just wants to say that if one's hadamah and one's the eighth, you don't just say hadamah and cover the eighths. Since there's a requirement in the situation of saying, because since you're eating the two foods independent of each other, I'm not just eating this food to help digest the other food. I'm eating this food for the purpose I want the olives. It requires a bracha bor be'etz. The radishes require hadamah, and I must say two brachot here. The Gemara's challenge. The Gemara was questioning that law. The Gemara was questioning. The Gemara was thinking maybe it's possible if I have hadamah and an eighth, maybe I only have to say hadamah and cover the eighth. That's the Gemara's challenge. And the Gemara shows don't. The Gemara was thinking we have a proof to that, because the Gemara brought a case of an olive and a radish, and the Gemara says, look, you only say a bracha on the radish. So you don't say, so when you have a fruit and you have a vegetable, you should only say a bracha on the vegetable, cover the fruit. The Gemara says, no, that case is different. The olive, you were not eating for the olives. You're only interested in the olives because you were trying to help you get down the radish. So therefore, that's when you say only one bracha on hadama. But in general, the Gemara says, we hold, like Ula says, that if you want the fruit, you're interested in the fruit and you're interested in the vegetable, you have to say two brachot. A bracha on the fruit and a bracha on the vegetable. Now, which one first? Good question. That's another question. But we want to prove that you need to say both brachot. That's what the Gemara is focusing now, that you have to say both, two brachot, a hadama and eitz, and hadama does not do the trick. You shouldn't just say, I'll just say hadama and cover the eitz. Is that clear? That's what the Gemara is saying. Mike, is that clear or not?
Yes, Rabbi Skip.
Okay.
Because the question was maybe a hadama covers also the fruit.
Right. The question was maybe l'chatchila I should tell the guy just say hadama and cover the fruit. And maybe that was the question of the Gemara. The Gemara says no, we don't do that. You say a hadama, you say a eitz, two brachot. Good. Now, so the Gemara says
Got it, Rabbi.
Very good. But medvar amur sheson ika aval ena son ika. If the snow is not the main thing, if the radish is not the main thing, divrei hakol. The first word of the line is dalet hey. Divrei hakol mevorach hazeh v'chol zeh umevorach hazeh. Everybody agrees in such a circumstance. I say two brachot, a hadama and a eitz. Now, ushnei minim ba'alma, and when you have shnei minim ba'alma, but if you have different types of foods, but the two foods are shebrachoteim shavot, but they have the same bracha. Let's say that both foods are ha'etz. So what do I do in such a case? I only need to say if I have I have apples, oranges, grapes. I only need to say one bracha, but they're all the same type. They're all fruits of a tree. So that case, mevarech al ezemem sheyitzeh. In that situation, I say a bracha. If they're all ha'etz, I say the bracha on whichever one I want, whichever one I enjoy the best. That is the opinion of the Chachamim. The Chachamim say, I don't care that you have dates in the bunch. I'm eating dates. I'm having a Tu B'Shvat party. Tu B'Shvat is an inyan to have a lot of fruits. It's the Rosh Hashanah for trees. So people have fruits. So they take fruits from Israel that Israel is known for. They have pomegranate, they have dates. At a Tu B'Shvat, today they made a whole thing called Tu B'Shvat Seder. It's a new thing that becomes very popular. A lot of people have this Tu B'Shvat. Maybe they had it in Morocco in the old years. But growing up, it was not we never had that. But you know what? It's very nice. It's become more popular. People have, the halacha just says that on Tu B'Shvat, you should increase in fruits, eating fruits. So now it's beautiful. They made it, they formalized it very nice. But if in that Seder you have grapes and you have olives and you have all different beautiful fruits, among them from the fruits that Israel is known for, and among things that Israel is not known for. So which one do you say? And now I gotta make a Bor Eitz. I gotta choose. Which one do I say the Bor Eitz on? So therefore, the first opinion, the Chacham is saying, you know what you say the Bor Eitz on? On the one that you like the best. You like apples the best, you say Bor Eitz on the apples. And you have a mind to cover the grapes. That is the opinion of Chachamim. Comes Rabbi Yehuda, Omer, Mevarech ala Zayit. He says, no, you should say the bracha on the olive, because Shazayit min Shiva. Since you have something from the 7 species of the land of Israel, even though you like the apples and the oranges better, go after the 7 species of the land of Israel. That is the opinion. Now that we have, now let's continue in the Gemara. The Gemara continues. Pligi ba Rav Ami v'Rav Yitzchak. Rav Ami and Rav Yitzchak argue regarding these halachot. The Rav Yitzchak Nafcha. Charama, one says, machloket b'shebrichateim shavot. One opinion in the Gemara is the following. The machloket of whether you go after the Shivat Aminim, or you go after the one that you like better, is specifically when the brachot are the same. The Rabbi Yehuda Sava, Rabbi Yehuda says, even if the brachos are the same, let's say it's all Borei Pri Eitz, Min Shiva Adif. You go after the 7 species of Israel. And Rabbanan Savri, but Rabbanan hold Min Chaviv Adif. Rabbanan hold in such a circumstance, you go after not the Shiva Taminim, not the 7 species of Israel. If they're both the same bracha, you go after Min Chaviv. The one that what? That you like the best. I once attended a class by Rabbi in the Young Israel of Manhattan. Rabbi Pam from Yeshiva Torah Das spoke, and he focused on the Rambam. But the Rambam in Hilchot Chanukah says about Chanukah, mitzvah chavivahi ad ma'od. Chanukah is such a cherished, beloved mitzvah. That's the word chaviv. Chaviv is from the word what? Beloved, the one that you like the most. So that's what the Chacham say. The Chacham said you go after the chaviv, the one that you like the best. Back in the Gemara. But when the bracha is not the same, one, let's say, is ha'etz and one's adama, divrei hakol, mevarech al zeh, v'chozeh mevarech al zeh. When the brachot are not the same, everybody says, you say a bracha on this one, and you say a bracha on that one. You say adama, and you say a borei pri eitz. Nobody says you just say one bracha to cover it all. Like we said, but the question is, which one do I do when there are 2 different brachot? It says, mevarech al zeh, v'chozeh mevarech al zeh. You say bracha on this one or that. Which one is it this one? Which one is it that one? When you say when there are 2 different brachot, it's just the Gemara is very vague. It says when it's 2 different brachot, what does the Gemara say? You say 2 brachot, but it doesn't identify for us which one. So that's where the poskim, the different Rishonim, discuss, and we'll get to that. The Gemara says, even when the brachot are not the same, nami machloket. Also, there's a machloket that even when the brachot are not the same, there's a machloket. So what does that mean? So if we will learn the Gemara, one way to learn the Gemara is the first opinion says that when the brachos are different, you make 2 brachot and you go after, and the 2 brachot you go after, let's say, the one that you like the best. This opinion said, morning family, even when the brachot are not the same, there's also machloket. And if there's also machloket, means that Rabbi Yehuda will say you go after the Shivat Aminim. So meaning to say, there's 2 opinions of the Gemara. When Rabbi Yehuda says you go after the 7 species of the land of Israel, is that one opinion says that only plays a role if you're saying 1 bracha. And which one should I say? If I'm saying 1 bracha, which one do I say the bracha on? There's a machloket. I'm saying 1 bracha. Should I say it on the Shivat Haminim fruit, or should I 7 species, or should I say it on the one that I like better? But if they're 2 different brachot, and one's ha'etz, one's hadama, so therefore there's one opinion in the Gemara that says Rabbi Yehuda will not argue over there. He would agree that you could do the one that you like better first. That's one opinion. One opinion said that's how some understand the Gemara. One opinion in Rabbi Yehuda is that he doesn't. Shiva Taminim does not play a role if it's 2 different brachot, or which one you should say first. The fact that you have among the group something from the land of Israel does not say that therefore this should take priority to the one that you like better. If the one that you like better is a hadama, it's a different bracha, and maybe you should do that one first. However, the other opinion in the Gemara says that even when you have 2 different brachot, still Rabbi Yehuda would say, "Have a great day." What comes first? The one from the Shivat Haminim. That is the Gemara. Now the question is, what is the halacha? Now remember, if you look back at the Mishnah on Mem Amud Beis, we have the Machlokas in Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says you go after the Shiva Taminim. The Shiva Taminim is the that tells you what to do. The Chacham say you go after the one you like better. Now the general rule is when you have a Machlokas between the Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda, the Chachamim is the majority opinion. So therefore you would say that you should go after the Chachamim, which would mean, according to Rashi, that you should say the bracha on the one that you like best. Should take priority to the Shiva Taminim. Because Rabbi Yehuda is the one who says, Rabbi Yehuda is the one who comes says, if you have from the Shiva Taminim, that goes first. But the Chum disagree with that. The Chum say you go after one you like the best. So now that we presented to have all these opinions, so what does it say in the Shulchan Aruch? So here we have a siman in the Shulchan Aruch. It's siman Reish and Aleph. It's called Dine Kedima Bebrachot HaPeirot. What comes first? What comes first? When you say the bracha? So the Shulchan Aruch opens up. The first opinion is if you have many fruits, if they have the same bracha, he says you go after the min shiva. You go after the shiva taminim, even if you do not enjoy it like the other one. So the first opinion is that you go after the shiva taminim is the winner. If you have, again, I'm making a bracha on apples, grapes, dates, apples and grapes. Who's the winner? The grape is the winner, even if I like the apples more. That's the first opinion in the Shulchan Aruch. Is that correct? If I do not have from the Shiva Taminim, if I have apples and oranges, not from the 7 species, then I go after the one I like better. Okay? And if they're not the same brachot, I have her 8s and I have a dama. So he says, in that case, he says, then you go after the one that you like. He says, whichever one you want. The first opinion he says is if there's 2 separate brachot, you could pick and choose which bracha, whether you want to do the 8s first, the dama first, even if you like one more than the other, even if one is Shiva Taminim, it doesn't make a difference. If they're 2 different brachot, you can do what you want. That is the first opinion in the Shulchan Aruch. And then he says, some say, if you have 2 different brachot, then you should go after the one that you like. You should like the best. And what's called that the one that you like the best? The one that you generally enjoy, even if now you rather the other thing more. But if this is a thing that you generally enjoy, the best, that's called chaviv. That is that's the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch. So again, the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch is if you have 2 fruits, same bracha, Shiva Taminim is the winner. If 2 different fruits, they're not the same bracha, right? You're having grapes, and I'm having grapes, and I'm having pineapple, right? I could go ahead, and if I like, I could take the first opinion is I could do whichever bracha I want. 8 are dama. Second opinion is I should go after the one that I like better. Those are 2 opinions in that situation. Even though it's Shiva Taminim, but if it's 2 different brachot, the fact that one is Shiva Taminim does not play a role according to this so far, according to these opinions. The Rambam's understanding, the Shulchan Aruch says, he holds if you like one better, he says, whether they're the same brachot, whether they're different brachot, he says, the Rambam says, you go after the one that you like at that time. the one that you like at that time, you go, the Rambam says that's the one that you go after. He says, meaning according to the Rambam says, let's say I have grapes and I have apple. And I like, the Rambam would say, you got to go after the apple. If you like the apple, you want the apple now, you go after, he says, even, so the Rambam says, even though you have the Shiva Taminim, you go after what you like better. Okay, so we have major machloket between, I have in front of me an apple and grapes. And I like the apple more than grapes. Now what bracha do I say? I say a bracha on the apple. So really, where this is going to, according to the Rambam, this is going to, now Rosh Hashanah. What do people do on Rosh Hashanah? They dip the apple in the honey, right? And do they make a bracha on the apple? When they say a Borei Pri Eitz on Rosh Hashanah, we have different fruits on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, many people have pomegranates. Rosh Hashanah, is that correct or not? And you have apple. So which bracha, you're saying a Borei Pri Eitz. What do you say the Borei Pri, when you open up with the Borei Pri Eitz, what do you say the bracha Borei Pri Eitz on? On the apple, the date? Now also we're going to see this in the Shiva Taminim of Israel, there's also an order. In the Shiva Taminim, there's a hierarchy, as they say. Which comes first? Which bracha? But let's say a person, whichever one of the Shiva Taminim you have, and I have an apple. What should I say the bracha on? The apple or the Shiva Taminim? So according to the first opinion of Shulchan Aruch, which is generally the halacha, the Shulchan Aruch, meaning when the Shulchan Aruch presents an opinion first, and then he says the Rambam says something differently, generally you go with the first opinion, so you should do the Shiva Taminim. But if you're Yemenites, the Yemenites will follow the Rambam. They will say, you say a bracha on the apple. And I bet there are a lot of Jewish people that say a bracha on the apple. I bet a lot of people say a bracha on the apple. So all those people who say a bracha on the apple instead of on the Shiva Taminim, because they're going with the Rambam's opinion. And even though that doesn't sound like that's the main opinion in the halacha, because the main opinion in the halacha, the first opinion in the Shulchan Aruch, is that you should say the bracha on the Shiva Taminim. That would be according to the way the Shulchan Aruch is presenting. And then just another point that the Shulchan Aruch says, which we mentioned earlier. If you have ha'etz and hadama, which the way we've been presenting the Gemara, ha'etz and hadama, the ha'etz will not take the fact that the ha'etz is more specific, it's not the level of specific, however you say the word, being specificity is not so greater that you would, that tells you ha'etz comes before hadama. According to our Gemara, Eitz will not, the fact that something's Eitz, if you like the Hadama more than the Eitz, the Hadama would come first. That's what comes out, by the way. It's only the Shulchan Aruch brings the Yesh Omrim. There are those that say that Borei Pri Eitz would come first before the Hadama. But there are many, meaning it would seem that the main opinion is that if you like the Hadama more than the Eitz, you say the bracha on the Hadama first. Now, in the Yalkut Yosef, when let's see if he presents, how does he present it? He says the following: if you have many fruits in front of you, if they have the same bracha, Shalom Aleichem David, if they have the same bracha, and they have from the Shiva Taminim, the Shiva Taminim is the winner. And he says, that's the winner. And then he said, and that's only now. So he says, if they brought in front of you Borei Pri Eitz and Borei Pri Hadama, min hadin, according to the letter of the law, it's possible to say bracha on the Hadama first. But it is appropriate But he says it's appropriate to do the border pre-age before the Hadamah, unless the Hadamah is more cherished. If you like the Hadamah more, let's say if you like pineapple, you have pineapple and you like pineapple more than a grape, more than, let's say, more than oranges, you would go ahead and it would seem, even if it's a Shivat Aminim there, if you like the pineapple first, you go ahead and you would do the pineapple. It's two different brachot. So if it's two different brachot, in conclusion, we'll just end with this point. If it's two different brachot, Hadamah and Ha'etz, you would say, if you like the Hadamah more than the Eitz, you would say that bracha on the Hadamah first. If you like them equally, then you say the bracha on the Eitz. If you have apples, oranges, and grapes, Shivat Haminim is the winner. If they're both the same bracha, look, do I have a Shivat Haminim in front of me? Even though I like the other one more, I go after Shivat Haminim. We should be zocher soon to get to Eretz Yisrael and have all the beautiful fruits of Eretz Yisrael. I want to wish everyone, it's a little complicated, but I think we got it. We got it, right? It's clear? It's clear? The key is clear. Have a great day, everybody.
Have a great day, Rabbi.
Well, everyone needs to have in their house a Yalkut Yosef. Every Jewish home needs to have a Yalkut Yosef, a 2-volume Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, Yalkut Yosef. It's called Yalkut Yosef Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. And you'll look up the halachot, you'll take it out of Gemara, you'll look at the letter, they'll send you to the Shulchan Aruch, and you'll be in great shape. Have a great day, everybody. Look at that smile. I see smiles. Have a great day, everybody. Take care. Take care. You too. Morning, David. How are you? Morning.